Happy Monday, March 11th, 2019. I'm here to talk some basketball, some of the movement of basketball, some of the moves of basketball, some of the finishes of basketball, and some of the game of basketball. All right. So, when we talk about moves, we can discuss the crossover move when done properly. One of the things I see being done wrong is when the stutter step begins on the crossover, it starts with the wrong foot. And because it tends to be an odd numbered stutter step, it's important which foot to start with, because that's where the weight distribution will wind up in the body. So, going to break it down into about 8 steps. Step number 1 being, you got to walk the ball up the court before you do a crossover, depending on your quickness level. If you're as quick as you need to be, you can do it with less gainage of ground. They say that in football a lot. He can accelerate very quickly. He needs no more than a yard to take off with. Well, the same thing applies to basketball. It's a dependent relationship where the more space it takes you to get going, the more space you're going to need. So that being said, it's important to walk the ball up the court. Now, once you walk the ball up the court, you want to finish your dribble. Not finish it, but you want to end up with the ball being dribbled in the right hand, because for the left to right crossover, you first have to thread the ball through the left leg and into the left hand. All right? Now, that's 2 steps out of 8. So step number 3 is where I see it going wrong. And step number 3 for me has been, you're going to jab step with the left foot. You're going to kick the left foot out about a half to a third of its full stepping capability. You'll find it's difficult to go through the left leg and then jab step with your left leg. It's unnatural. But unnatural is exactly what you're trying to create out there. You're trying to make yourself look unnatural, so in the long run, the defense is fooled or deked or crossed over. So, step number 3 is to jab step with the left foot. Step number 4 is very similar. You jab step with the right foot. It's a stutter step. So you jab step right-footed. Step number 5 is now you're going to more or less, it's still a jab step with your left foot. So jab step, jab step, jab step. But this time you're going to make it more like you're going to go off the left foot. Okay? Now this is all after you've threaded the ball right to left into your left hand. You can bring the ball and kind of do one of these, suspend it in air, sort of, to create, without carrying over, you're going to create a little extra time to get that stutter step done. And now we're on step number 5. So step number 5. Now step number 6 is quite simply to load your hips onto the left side of your body. Okay? What it does is it creates an additional deke to go along with it that you're actually going to the left. What you're really doing is you're loading your body weight up to your left hip, which has some very powerful muscles in it, and it's going to allow you without much effort to explode back to the right. Okay? Step number 7, I think, after step number 6, which is load up the left hip, is to bring the ball back to your right hand side. That's done in about 3 different ways. You don't have to do all 3 at once. In fact, you can't. You got to pick one and choose one, and it's a spur of the moment type thing where you decide on it, or you can premeditate it depending on what you're up to. But there's one way to do it, is to roll it over low and use the rollover motion to bring it through. The other way is to kind of send the ball. If you're familiar with organized basketball, they say send it first. So you send the ball before you move your body. You kind of do one of these, you kind of bring it this way and then you go. That's another way. And then the third and final way is maybe if you kind of do one of the old check the watch things, where you look up real quick at the basket, shot faking, and then you send it over. All right. Step number 8, the last step, is of course to finish your layup, or whatever you have. A jump shot, a layup. If you can dunk it, that's great. All right. So that's a little bit about the moves of basketball, and a little bit about the movement. Also going to talk about shooting now. Well, going back to the crossover, I'm probably going to get a little contention with people who say that once you thread it left, you jab step right. That may feel natural, but you're trying to create something a little bit unnatural. I've been taught, and I always learned, and from what I watched of great players like Allen Iverson doing this, they would thread it left and they would jab step left to start. And they'd go right back to left and then send the weight and then cross it over. I guess I'm going to give my best shot at doing a demonstration. So again, the point, maybe it looks like I got it wrong, but it's actually the point I'm bickering, is that once you go left, you're going to jab step left as well, then back to the right, then to the left, and then finally over to the right for the finishing move of it, which should be relatively easy once you've set your man up properly. You may get picked, you may turn it over if you swing it too low and too fast, or it may be successful and you create a clean scoring opportunity. All right, so I've got another bone to pick with the game of basketball, and this one's even worse. It's about the shooting. So I see it everywhere, every single place I go. I can't find a way to get away from it. I was taught, I'm going to show you my shoes here, to shoot with the ball, okay, just like that, with my feet lined up together. They call it squaring to the bucket. And what you do is at the line to gain, the line between your feet and towards the basket, towards the center of the rim, the closest point on the rim, has a line perpendicular to it, which both your feet are on. Similar to how, well, very similar to how if you shoot a free throw in the middle of the key, the line is flat relative to the basket. So what you want to do is where you take your shots from, you want to always create that line, create an imaginary line, and set both your feet on it together. That leads me to a good example. Just checking to see if the video's on. This is one of my better examples I have here, and that is if you square your two fingers up, your index and your middle finger up, and you keep them together, okay, you'll find it's pretty easy to bend them. Now try staggering them. Now try to bend them. You'll see it's quite a bit more difficult, okay? If not impossible, it's a little bit more difficult. What do people agree upon? I gotta talk a little louder because there's a tractor back there, but maybe it's gonna help. People agree that you should take a shoot from the legs. You should take a deep knee bend. So I think that in itself is evidence that when it comes to shooting the ball, you should keep your feet square to the bucket. Further evidence I have is when it comes to shooting free throws, a lot of the famous players who score a lot of points, who maybe didn't quite get to the 84, 86% range that Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson got to when they worked on it. If they're stuck a little below that, but they're still getting to the line a lot, you'll find them doing what I just mentioned. They actually take their feet and put them both on the line together. They get away from that staggering foot. Now, why would they do that when they're shooting free throws? Well, because when you stagger your feet, you get more power through the right hand side of the body. Okay? You get quickness on your vertical, and you can shoot it from further away. It took me many years to extend my range from about the 14, 15 foot range to about the 18, 19 foot range. Why? Because I shot the ball square. It took every ounce of effort out of my arm, okay? And I couldn't go long. That was one thing. When I shot at the tip of my range, I couldn't go long. It was just not humanly possible for me. And that was a good thing. All right. Okay, but that's not the only thing there is to it. If you do want to stagger your feet, which is what most people are going to do, anyways, you still want to keep an eye on some fundamentals. One of the things you want to do is keep your toes pointed at the target, okay? So like that kind of. You do not want to space your toes out so much like that. It's just bad for accuracy. When you square your feet, it's a little bit more natural. When you're stagger-toed, you may have the tendency to do something like this. And your toes are going to help you aim. They're going to help you shoot the ball where you're going, where you're aiming at. And, you still want to bend your knees. If you don't want to bend your knees all the way down and do a squat, you're going to want to feel the pressure right in between the kneecap and the bone underneath the kneecap, kind of in that area. I think Kobe Bryant did a really good job of bending at the knee, but not over bending the knee. You could tell he was taking a deep knee bend when he bended his knees, and he had a great shot to go with it. Was he stagger-footed most of the time? Yes. Did he actually try things at the free throw line? He did that too. At one point in time, I swear, watching Kobe, I saw him put his left foot in front of his right foot and shoot right-handed. Okay? You see LeBron, today, March 11th, 2019, you see LeBron doing this thing where he keeps his left foot way back and he brings it all the way up. What's he doing? Well, at the very least, he's squaring up to the line. It's his way of doing it. There's plenty of ways to do it. Now, why wouldn't you do it in a game situation? Well, because it's going to limit your range. You're going to find yourself it makes it impossible to overshoot the ball. You're going to find yourself like literally airballing short if you step outside your range, because there's nothing left when you square your feet, okay? It's all coming from the arm. It starts in the legs and comes through the arm, and without that power burst you get from staggering your feet, there's really nothing left outside your arm strength to get the job done with. All right. Well, I talked a little bit about crossover, so I'm going to go ahead and do my best demonstration. I can't promise you it'll be pretty, but it'll be what I got today. And right over here is my basketball court. It's a Bonita Park, corner of Colima and Bonita. And it offers 4 nice half courts or 2 full courts. And I'm just going to walk through the steps. Okay, let me get my hard hat on here. All right. So this is about where I like to catch the ball, okay? Okay? And you can walk it all the way up using just one hand, if need be, because you're going to cross it over, okay? But for me, I like to catch, take a couple dribbles right, a left and then a right, and come back to the right hand and have it in my right hand right about here. right? Creating some space between me and the 3-point line, okay? Now, you're gonna get a good camera angle. All right? So now, step number 1 is walk it up the court. I call it walking the dog. All right? Now, some people are more adept than others at walking the dog. Okay? You can pound it real hard all you want, but that's going to make it hard for your hands to flow, to cross over smoothly. Okay? So, I've got to use a little freezing here, and hopefully I can even get the job done step by step. Alright? So you put it through your left leg, okay? Now the tendency is, of course, always to move that right leg first. You see I just did it there. Okay, but I'm going to hold the ball like this. I don't have the elevation anymore to do any kind of fancy stuff. Okay? You're going to bring this leg up first, then this leg. This leg, you're going to load up at the hips, moving your waist, moving your belly button over. I'm losing my head there, okay? You can get down low and do this if you need to. Okay? Once everything's loaded up, you're going to send it over, okay? Now that'll get you by all but the toughest defenders out there. Alright? Let me give you my best shot, okay? What the heck? Worth a try, right? See, I went the wrong way there. Nothing to be proud of, but I can feel it, you know? I went the wrong way. I went right leg first, you know? And it creates a crossover all on its own, but it's just not the right one. It's only human to go right leg first. But if you watch tape closely, if you really, really, really want to cross over your defender, you're going to have to start with that left leg, then the right, then the left. Okay? And it's important. So, can't find, there's the camera. So now I'm gonna just work on my shot a little bit. I'm gonna be squaring to the bucket and just trying some, inside 15 feet, just trying to flip it up there. Work on some layups as well. And gonna cut this off in just a few minutes, okay? And that's about it. Just gonna try a couple shots, maybe get a free throw or two in. Free throws are very important these days. And now I wish I could give that crossover one more go. I swear I used to be able to do it. It was peanut butter and jelly back in the day. You go left, then you send the left leg, then right, then left, and you do your little crossover, and you cross it over, okay? Doing it the other way around, it doesn't have the effect. If you start with the right leg, you're stuck doing 3 stutter steps, and your weight's gonna be on the wrong side of your body at the end of the 3rd stutter step. Unless you can do 4, I don't know. Maybe some people can do 4, I don't know. That's gonna be close to a carryover though. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take some shots, and then I'll finish this up, okay? right, so those are the minutes I promised myself I'll be putting out there, about 20 minutes. You know, this tractor's kind of getting in the way, but it's making me talk louder, which is good. Closing thoughts. You know, I wish basketball was played more like it used to be, in every which way. You know, this park here, we got, you know, 4 hoops. You know, I got a hoop over here, hoop over here. All right, I'm doing a better camera job than I was before. And they don't get used very much. They tend to stay empty. And a lot of times you pass by the basketball court and it's empty. And you know, these are nice hoops, nice rims. These are breakaway rims. They're expensive, believe it or not. Someone put them here. And they went above and beyond to get the good rims. We used to have double rims here back in the day in Roland Park. The double rims with no breakaway on it. And those were tough to shoot on, let me tell you. All right. You know, keep it up. Those of you out there playing, you know, watch out for that European influx that's coming in. You know, we want to keep some of the jobs here in America, at least some of them. You know, we don't all get them, so you know, work hard, those of you still trying, and I'll see you next time.